The building had been sealed for decades, a concrete skeleton at the edge of the industrial district. Locals called it the Grey Asylum, though its real name had long been erased from maps and documents. Windows were shattered like blind eyes, and rusted fences tangled around the perimeter like thorns. Yet every so often someone broke in, drawn by rumors of strange noises, and never returned. Ethan was not the first. He came with a camera, a flashlight, and the hollow confidence of a man who didn't believe in curses. The asylum had been abandoned since the late 1980s after a fire gutted the East Wing. People said the patients had burned alive when the doors failed to unlock. Others whispered that the doctors had locked them in on purpose. Whatever truth there was, it had been buried under mold, ash, and silence. The air inside was colder than outside, thick with the stench of decay and something metallic. The flashlight beam shook as Ethan moved through endless corridors lined with peeling wallpaper. Faded murals of smiling nurses stared from the walls, their eyes bubbled with water stains. The camera's red light blinked steadily, capturing everything in perfect indifference. He passed through what had once been the common area. Rusted wheelchairs lay overturned. The floor was carpeted with dust so thick it looked like snow. The silence was absolute, the kind that pressed against the skin. Then soft, deliberate footsteps echoed from the hall behind him. He turned. Nothing. Only the hallway stretching into darkness. He convinced himself it was an echo. He continued deeper. The wards were a maze of identical doors. Each had a small square window covered with wire mesh. Behind some of them, faint scratching came from within, as if something still moved behind those locked doors. Ethan told himself it was rats, wind, old pipes. But the rhythm of the sounds was too steady, too human. 3 scratches. Pause. 3 scratches again. The flashlight flickered once, twice, and steadied. The air seemed to throb. He reached the end of the corridor where a metal placard hung askew. Burned letters spelled Observation Wing. The door here was sealed with chains, but one had snapped. He slipped through the gap, scraping his shoulder. Inside, the walls were covered in mirrors, dozens of them. Observation rooms where doctors once watched their patients unseen. Most mirrors were cracked, warped by heat and time. His own reflection fractured into 100 versions of himself, some moving slightly out of sync. He lifted his camera. The viewfinder showed something strange. Behind him, in the mirror's reflection, a figure stood in the corner, a shape too tall, too still. But when he turned around, there was only empty space. The camera trembled in his hands. He replayed the footage. The figure remained, motionless, watching. And as he stared longer, he realized its head was tilted, as though it were studying him. He decided to leave. But the corridor outside no longer looked the same. The walls seemed longer, the exit farther away. The pattern of cracks on the tiles had changed. A low humming filled the air, rising and falling like breath. Each turn led him deeper into the building instead of out. The flashlight dimmed again. Something passed across the beam, just a shadow, but solid enough to break the light for a fraction of a second. The temperature dropped sharply. Frost crept across the mirror glass beside him, forming the faint outline of a hand pressed against the other side. He moved faster. His steps echoed unevenly now, as if another pair followed close behind, always a beat too late. The building moaned with the weight of its own history. Somewhere above, a door slammed, then another, closer this time. The sound followed him down the hall. At the staircase, his camera froze. The screen glitched, static pouring across it like white rain. A distorted face appeared for an instant, its eyes black holes, mouth stretching wide as if in silent scream. Then the camera shut off. He climbed the stairs blindly, breathing in short, ragged bursts. The upper floor was worse. The fire had burned here. The The walls were black, melted, bones of beds fused with the floor. But beneath the soot, faint footprints trailed ahead, bare, human, wet. They stopped at a door, half consumed by flame. A plaque above it read, "Isolation Room 12." He hesitated, then pushed it open. Inside, the room was intact, perfectly preserved. The bed was made. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant. And on the far wall, written in soot, were the words, "Still here." His camera light returned on its own, flickering weakly. In its glow, he saw that the bed was occupied. A figure lay there, turned away. The shape was human, but the skin was gray, stretched, unmoving. As he approached, the eyes opened, mirror black, reflecting his flashlight. He stumbled backward, hitting the wall. The mirrors around the room began to vibrate, ringing with low metallic tones. His reflection no longer matched him. It smiled when he didn't. It raised a hand when his own stayed still. The reflection leaned closer, pressing its face against the inside of the glass. Then it reached through. The first thing he felt was cold, then pain. Something invisible dragged him toward the mirror, into its dark depth. His camera fell, still recording, its lens aimed at the wall. The last image it captured was his flashlight rolling to a stop, beam pointing toward the mirror, now perfectly smooth again, showing only a dim, empty room. Days later, a group of explorers found the camera near the asylum's entrance. The footage was intact, time-stamped, but silent. Every frame after the 37th minute showed the same image, the mirror faintly pulsing, as if something behind it was breathing. No one entered the building again, but at night, people passing by claimed they saw a light flickering through the shattered windows. And sometimes, if you looked long enough, a shadow would lean out of the darkness, its head tilted, watching, waiting for someone else to come inside.